Hello, my name is Margaret Adele, and welcome to the August channel update. And this one is a roller coaster. So let's jump right into the non-reading side of my life. How is that going? Well, you might remember if you watched the July channel update that I, in very early August, had posted a pitch in one of those Twitter pitch parties for publishing, and it got a lot of traction. By the end of it, I believe I had 300 general likes. About 33 of those were agents, because people don't remember that you're not supposed to like the pitches if you're not an agent. And I had set out querying. I believe set out 21 queries, if I remember correctly. And as I sit here now at the end of the month, like half of them have already been rejected. So that was a high and then a sudden dip. But there is still like some small reason to hope, because there are still some agents that have the full and some that haven't responded. But I have spent so many years querying, and the general consensus that I have always gotten back when agents actually give me feedback is, this is great, but I don't know where it fits. Which, like, I don't know why I keep being surprised by that. But I have put a lot more focus into building up my Twitter presence and getting a lot more active on there and interacting with people to build up that platform, because a lot of people followed me being like, I want to see this book when it comes out. It's going to come out eventually. But the thing with this is that because I have been waiting on queries while also watching the publishing world explode in very short order, I've decided that this is going to be my last hurrah at traditional publishing. I am going to wait on all of these agents to respond, and my brain is saying it's inevitable that they'll all come back negative. That could be me just, preparing myself. But if that happens, I am finally going to accept myself for the indie weirdo that I am and just be like, we're just going to have to put in the effort and do it the indie way. It helps that my short story that's coming out in October has been a fantastic experience. I have loved all of the work I've done with the Space Wizard Press anthology. Like, it's been so nice. So this is the universe telling me that I need to give up that dream. And it's kind of difficult because, I've had that dream since I was like 10 years old. I'm going to walk into a bookstore and see my book on a shelf. And even now, even if I was traditionally published with all the news Barnes & Noble is coming out with, that might not even happen, even if I got traditionally published. So I'm kind of coming to grips with the fact that aspect of I want to be an author life goal needs to be altered. And I know for a lot of people watching this channel, it might seem weird that I'm so attached to being traditionally published, because this is an indie hipster channel. I read more indie books than traditionally published. It's actually rare if I read more than one trad published book in a row. So I don't know why I'm so attached to the idea of trad publishing. I don't read those books, probably because of all the expense and work to indie publish, but I will definitely be looking into more indie publishers, more short story work. It is kind of wild to think that I will be a published author come October, and I'm battling imposter syndrome constantly because part of me is like, it's just a short story. But no, someone still paid me money. Like, I have already gotten the money for that short story to be published. Someone looked at my fiction and said, we will pay money for this because we think other people will pay money for this. So, like, I gotta hang on to that. The Margaret Adele pen name will be functionally my published author pen name. And I'm trying to hold on to that with every query rejection I have gotten. I'm probably, once I do decide on what my first novel that I query to indie presses is going to be, Space Wizard will probably be the first one that I go to, just because I've loved it so far. So also in other news, we have the health stuff. Continues more of the same. Infertility is a marathon, not a sprint. The meds come and go with the symptoms. I did start a new fitness club with my husband, with some of the other wrestling support staff people from the pro wrestling promotion that we work with. So I get to go to like a fancy gym with like a rowing machine and everything, and that's kind of fun once a week. And now my husband's getting healthy with me too, so that's really fun. And in general, things are holding steady. I can't complain too much about that. The really good news is the school year started, and that was the big thing. If you've watched my channel, you know that I work in special ed, and that is always a coin toss on what it's going to look like. And things last year were exceedingly chaotic. Not just because of the kids. I mean, I work in BD, so like, it's always partly the kids, but things were bad at a staff level, very, very chaotic. But this year, so far, we are in the middle of our second week as I film this, and things have improved immensely compared to last year. The teacher that I'm working under is exceedingly capable, and we are already figuring things out and getting set into some nice routines. I'm particularly excited because I am the para in charge of science and social studies, small groups, and I have a history degree. So like, that's like my thing. Like, I get to like spend time in my thing all day, which is really, really nice. But in general, yes, roller coaster, but, my biggest fears have not come to fruition. So I'm gonna hang my hat on that. We got that much going for us. But now, what's my reading been like? Absolutely fucking fantastic. I don't know what came over me in the month of August, but I realized that I was just voracious. I completed 10 books by the middle of the month, which is usually what I aim for an entire month. Now, obviously, it was summer, so I had more free time, but I didn't have a readathon like I'd had in July and June. It was just me just randomly picking books. I did get a lot of review books done. I actually considered, with how low my list got, of just like trying to see if I could get my list down to actual 0 in September. And then I realized that some of the review requests had ended up in my spam inbox. So I actually had several more review requests than I thought I did. And they were really interesting. So like, probably not going to get it down to 0, but let's be honest, that was always a ludicrous goal to begin with. Regardless, I was just really into it. Now, granted, some of the books were very short. Like, I think at one point there was like a 30-page poetry collection, but I also did like a 500+ page monster romance. I seriously need more monster romances on my review list, please. And I wasn't going to actually shoot to beat my record for books read in 1 month because I knew I was starting school and going back to school in the first week. And as a staff member, it's so stressful because you've got to literally organize everything while the kids are there. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take it easy. And then once I hit like 14 books and I realized that there was still like 10 days left in the year, and I'm like, I could do it. I could do it. And so I pushed just a little. Like, I still have brain break days. Like right now, as I film this on October 31st, Halloween on the brain, August 31st, I am not reading anything today. So it's all been finished already. I officially broke my record. My highest amount of books read in a month is officially 17. It took me like, I think it was 2 years ago that I first got to 16, and it will probably be another 2 years until I get to 18, but that's fine. I'm not going to push it. I wouldn't have even like tried for this if it wasn't already happening on its own. Although I do have some like really hyped releases coming out in October. So if it was to accidentally happen, that would probably be it. But regardless, it was just like, I don't know what it was. It was just so much fun to be reading. And maybe it was because I'd spent 2 months having to read certain things because they fit prompts in a readathon. I'm honestly not that sure. But the other thing that I'm really proud of is that the TBR challenge has been working. My owned TBR is officially under 200 books, which was my goal for the entire year, and I hit it by Labor Day. And I'm 2 books away from 100, which was my year goal. So I'm trying to see if I can beat that by Labor Day too, just for like extra bragging points on the internet that maybe 10 people will care about. Regardless, really proud of myself. I am going to continue with the TBR challenge. I actually modified it a little bit. So before, I did not have my review books counted in that. And my thought process was that I don't want to say no to an author that has sent me a review request just because I don't have a slot open on my list. And that's already been a problem, as I've discovered. I'll get to that in a second. But the other thing I realized is it was also not... It was incentivizing me to read my non-review books more than my review books, because when I read my non-review books, I got to like write the title down and cross it off and get to another new book slot that I didn't get with review books. And so I kind of like weighed the pros and cons of, is it worth incentivizing myself to read these more, or is it worth having to hold off on accepting more, or maybe taking up more slots than I'd like for new review books? And I eventually did decide that it is better to include it. And at the time when I first did it, I was like, see, I'm so low on reviews. I could like totally get my review list to 0 by the end of September if I wanted to. And then I discovered that some of the review requests had been landing in my spam folder. And so, and they were good. They were exactly what I've been looking for. So like, I'm not going to say no. So we're not getting it to 0 by the end of September. That's fine. Regardless, I kind of had to do the thing where like, I had to skip ahead. So now I'll have to read even more books before I can get another new book, which is fine. I was already planning on making September the month of focusing on review books, just because I know there's several books that I'm hyped for that are not for review coming out in October. So my thought process was focus on it more in September so I could focus more on the mostly monster romance. That is all the rage for me right now. In October. But in general, I'm really happy with where I'm sitting at. I got a lot of videos out. I got one of the videos that I really wanted to get out, which was my guide for indie authors when asking or talking to potential reviewers and how to get them to say yes. I've gotten a lot more authors following me on Twitter and a lot more interaction. I am slowly building out the platform, because as much fun as it was to have my review list so low, there was also part of me going, but why aren't they sending me more? Like, there was this part of me that was like, do they not like me anymore? Regardless, hopefully I can get through some of the mammoth books that I still have on my review list. And thankfully the mammoth books that I do have are from authors that I've worked with before that are willing to wait, thankfully. But that's what we're going to focus on. I have honestly thought whether or not I could get my review list down to like maybe 3 or 4 by the end of September. We'll see. I don't know. I do dream of like, maybe I'll make that one of my reading goals for 2023, is that at one point, there needs to come one point over 2023 in which my review list is actually 0. But that would require putting in a lot more effort, and as much as I have not stuck to this, 2022 is still supposed to be my year of rest and recouping. So yeah, we'll work with that. And in the future, I hope to not have to focus so much on resting and recouping. I hope to be able to beat that goal again. I hope to get my owned TBR down so low that I can toss out the challenge. But for right now, we're still sitting well. You can, if you're not already, follow me on Twitter. If you want to know more, I will probably tweet out at some point either, welp, it's all rejected, we're moving on, or, oh hey, agent offer. I still don't think that's going to be the likely outcome, but I might have slightly turned into a pessimist. Regardless, thank you so much for watching all of this rambling, and with nothing else to say, I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.